Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Bring it out on fire.
On fire.
Could we do one extra order of the mango lassi too?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want the mango lassi? They have other flavors. I just found out.
No, that's good.
Mango? Okay.
It's just the only Indian restaurant in Vallejo, or are there others?
I think there's another one.
There's one other, but I think it's more, is it Vic's Chot? Is that what it's called?
Like fast food,
It's like faster food. Yeah, I think
This is the one.
this is the best. This is the
You
best
haven't eaten
one.
here with us yet?
No.
Oh yeah, this is the best Indian food we've ever had.
Okay.
We go to other states and it's not the same.
Yeah, I think San Francisco isn't good at Indian food. Like,
No.
It's weird. So many Indians. Why is it?
San Jose.
San Jose had terrible Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the
It's weird.
worst.
Everywhere we go, we never really find good
Yeah.
Indian food. This is like the best in the States.
Berkeley has really good pho.
Okay.
Really good pho. The pho out here is like.
The place on Sonoma, I feel like is. I'm not a huge
There's
pho
one on
fan
Sonoma.
anyway.
Yeah,
the
that's
pho,
the main
the
one.
pho
Oh yeah,
one.
pho one.
Yeah.
And then they have Vallejo pho, which I feel like is better than pho one.
Okay, I haven't been there.
It's better than pho
You
one.
spend a
but
lot of
it's-
time in Vallejo.
I do. I've only been here. I didn't grow up here. I've been here for about 8 years. But my husband came here for work, and we just fell in love with Vallejo. And
Nice.
Yeah.
What does your husband do?
He works with local governments. He actually came and worked for the city of Vallejo for a little bit, and now he advises other governments. He was actually it's a long story, but he was part of a group that was trying to get tackle some of the corruption, and got pushed out. So it was unfortunate, and
He got
it was
pushed
a slow,
out while trying to tackle.
while
the
trying to
corruption.
tackle the corruption. Yeah, he was one of four people that were trying to do that, and then I never had any interest. I mean, I can tell you a little bit about my journey. I never had any interest in running for office, but I just was watching this. I've loved this city so much, and I was watching the government just fail repeatedly to serve its people, whether it was the police stuff or just ineptitude, the finances, everything was falling apart. And it was a slow build that led me to, you know what? Somebody needs to step up. Not everybody's in a position to run for office, and somebody needs to step up and try to
Do
facilitate
something,
some change.
right?
Yeah.
Everyone
So
complains, but not everyone does something.
and not everyone's in a position. I think that was the realization, because I grew up in North Carolina, and people there are very sort of, if you're not from here, I don't want to hear what you have to say. And I struggled with that a little bit. Like, who am I to run for office in a city I'm not from? And I realized, well, no, not everybody's in a position to do it. Like, I teach at a community college. I just got tenure. We don't have kids. I'm in a position where I have the time to spare and the knowledge and the skills. And I know enough people here that I feel like I can represent, even not having the roots. Like, I feel like I can be maybe a change agent that can open it up so more people can feel like they can be engaged, because I think there's a lot of folks that have a lot of energy and want to serve and do things, but they just are so turned off by how toxic it is and how nasty it is. And I mean, you know this. And it was like you were saying, I was listening on OzCat when I was driving over the other day, the way that politics operates here. It's very transactional. It's very much, I'm going to say one thing and do another. I'm going to go serve my special interest. I'm going to go take a photo op. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to take a quick photo op and I'm going to leave. And that's just, that's what we're trying to, I think, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to combat.
Nice.
So, yeah.
What is your history with politics?
Yeah, I've always been in public service my whole career. When I graduated college, I came out to be a teacher in Oakland, and the recession hit, and that was just not in the cards. So I worked at a Boys and Girls Club. I managed an after-school program in San Jose. I kind of just went wherever the job was. Served in the Peace Corps in Central America. That's where I met my husband, and managed another nonprofit program. And then when we moved to Vallejo, that was when I started teaching at the community college at DVC over in Pleasant Hill. And I did some volunteering with survivors of violence here, and then right around 2020, I was like, everything was kind of hitting the fan in every possible way. And I met Chris Kelly, who is Mario Romero's sister, and he was killed in 2012.
Yeah.
So she had been by that point fighting for like 8 years to try and get justice, and we just clicked. I don't know, there was something, we just really connected, and so we started up the ACLU chapter here, which is the big ACLU, like big civil liberties organization that fights for, they do a bunch of different issues, but they do a lot on like police accountability, better treatment of homeless, First Amendment protections, access. They do a lot on like just social justice issues. And so she and I started the ACLU chapter and got a lot accomplished, but didn't get a lot accomplished. It was like we made a lot of progress and we built a lot of momentum, but nobody's listening to us. And I tried, joined a Democratic club because I was like, maybe we can change the Democratic Party to make it better. And then that didn't work. I said, oh, maybe we can change some of these. And it just, nothing was clicking. And so I said, you know what? We're gonna have to do it differently. We're gonna have to get better people running for office to try and make that change happen. So I was in that activist space for probably about 3 or 4 years with the ACLU folks, with some of the impacted families, going out to some of the encampments, trying to get, coordinate some of the services for the folks in the homeless encampments. We were pushing when they were doing, I don't know if you've been to City Hall recently, they have everybody going through the basement now. Did you do? Yeah, so there was a meeting when we were.
Stopped doing that 50 years ago.
You would think. So about like maybe 3 years ago, they finally opened up after the pandemic. They opened up city council meetings back to the public. A bunch of the impacted families came, and because the badge bending had come out, all this stuff had come out, and there hadn't been any in-person meeting since that had all happened. So everybody came, and all the people, the staff and the city council, we feel scared. They felt scared.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the next thing you know, there's metal detectors. The entrance to City Hall's in the basement. You go in, you get frisked, you put your stuff through like you're at the airport, and then you have to climb the rickety stairs and go in, and it's offensive. I think it's offensive. I thought it was offensive. So that's the type of stuff we were trying to do.
And
Inaccessible, and it was, I mean, we don't know each other that well. It was like, I think it was racist. I really do.
Of course.
I think it was 100% racist. So we don't know each other that well, but I was very upset and tried to express it, didn't get anywhere, and said screw it, I'll run. So that's where we're at.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're doing so much cool stuff. I saw that you're doing a show at the fairgrounds, which is awesome.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Right?
Is that at the old venue where historically they had those
the arena
bleachers
and the
arena?
shows, right? And it hasn't been one in super long, so it's a dope return, and hopefully it's like a promising of what's to come. We wanna bring it back and get the funding to make it what it used to be, or what it should have been, but we never really got the opportunity to cultivate.
We really should have a venue there. I don't understand.
They have 3 facilities, where that's a goal of mine to bring the live entertainment side to Vallejo, so we could, it's a lot of revenue there.
I don't know if there's one.
Did you order one?
I didn't.
Okay. Yep.
If there is one, I'll have one, but otherwise, I got a chai instead. Yeah, there really should be, because I've gone out to Santa Rosa to see stuff. I've gone up to Sacramento to see stuff. Down to Oakland.
And where Vallejo is a hot spot. We're easily accessible, and in the middle, the ferry comes here. But we just don't have no entertainment.
Yeah.
And just within that, it's a deficit in the city. It's like that's a $1 billion industry, and the city gets we have no live entertainment revenue.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. And we have so much talent that comes out of here, not just the well-known people. Obviously, we're flush with well-known people, but also local people that are just known locally that could easily create activity and create spaces for people to go. And we don't have anything for young people to do, which is, how can you expect anything to change if somebody between the ages of, 12 and 20,
We're
12
not
and 30.
properly cultivating the next generation to really build the city in the direction it needs to go.
Yeah, they have no activity besides getting into trouble.
I think that what Vallejo looks like is the perfect storm of like how they say the devil or the idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
It's like you go to Vallejo and you're like, oh, that's the result of giving the children nothing to do.
Yeah, this is the example of what you do when you just mismanage and you don't care for people. This is what happens. And the community stays beautiful and the people stay beautiful and the stuff stays here, but the systems don't function. Like the institutions don't function for
anybody. And that's the
anybody.
dope of what we've displayed as Vallejo for our city to go through so much and we still have such a pride and people still like downtown, people still show up smiling and joyful and we have nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I was just telling them like me and 40 and her, we made it from here with nothing. So imagine if you give people something and they already have this big sense of pride. It's going to feel good to be from Vallejo and it's like backed by success as well. You know, and the city feels like that. Like right now, it just doesn't feel like a union. It feels like there's a bunch of people who all don't really care to deal with one another, and we all want the city to thrive and do well, but it's not a sense of union and unity where it's like, if we just get everyone on the same page, regardless of who's mayor or who's not, if everyone is in the same direction, at least we'll get somewhere.
Yeah. And and actually include the folks that haven't been at the table, because I think there's just been these gatekeepers. My assessment, again, just having been following for 5 or 6 years closely the political system, there's this set of gatekeepers that, you know, I don't know, rooted in old money or funded by people who are rooted in old money or whatever it is. They just seem to control everything, the political decisions. And it doesn't matter who you put in, those people get a hold of them. You know, you kiss the ring in order to get in, and then you get nothing different. You know, every election, it's like, oh, maybe this leader will be better, and it's not. It's the same old. And so that's why I wanted to have Cassandra's going to join in a minute. She just got elected to the Board of Soup, so I don't know if you've had a chance to sit down with her. She's genuinely, I mean, I really like her, I'm biased, but she's genuinely going to be, I think, a game changer for Vallejo. She lives in the Crest. She's, you know, the first, I don't know if she's the first black woman to ever be on the Board of Soups, at least representing Vallejo. Second ever on the Board of Soups. And she's younger, she's got energy, she's got kids growing up here that are in the public schools. Like, she's it. And she's got that lived experience and that care for people. Thank you. You're the best. Thanks. Thanks. And she beat the establishment, you know, anointed person by all those gatekeepers. And so I think we're in a position, if we have a wave of city council candidates that can come in, I think we're in a position to really flip the script a little bit and kind of knock all these folks out, bring new people in, and hopefully kind of create something new on our own. Because we don't just want to get in there and replace it with our own similar system. Like, now we're in charge, we're going to be the gatekeepers, but actually, let's take down the gate. No more gatekeepers. Like, let's all get on the same page and move the city forward and get rid of some of these folks that benefit from the status quo and benefit from us being held back, that don't want that event downtown, that don't want you at the fairgrounds. Like, there's a reason why that's not happening, right? There's people that don't want that.
They don't want it to happen.
They don't.
We experienced that last. We experienced it.
We looked them in the face.
Yeah, and I just, there's not many of them, but they have too much power. I really think the majority of people in Vallejo don't.
And you
don't
can feel it
that.
crumbling. Like, even the people who had that power and who used to be able to sway everybody are like losing their grip on the city.
Yeah,
it's time for a new regime. It feels like it. Even the energy and atmosphere, and I feel like it's great alignment just with me making it in my career at the point I am as a representative and spokesperson for Vallejo.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all in alignment. Like, it's time for a shift.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily, I mean, I was thinking more about this because we were talking a little bit about bringing the joy and bringing the positivity, and I mean, I think it's about what you feel like is most interesting and most authentic to you, but I feel like there are some opportunities to create, you know, to get young people more engaged, to create that pride in the city, and I'm excited for that. I think it has to happen. It's not necessarily like, hey, everybody show up at a council meeting. Show up at a city council meeting, but it's let's have fun. Let's have an event.
What's crazy is it's going to turn to that, and like, that's what we want. It's like, no, we want, like, we're going to get this event, but show up to this council meeting as well, because we need to know, and they need to see and understand. Like, when you pass something or you bring something to this city, and you don't necessarily stay in the city or actually operate within the city, you're not affected by the change that you're making. You just get to vote on it, but you don't have to experience the effects of it. So I think it's necessary. And like, I've been here my whole life, and I've never been to a council meeting or had any interest in the political side because it's never been embracive. We've never had a mayor outside like, hey, what's up? Come on.
It excludes you by nature, and then they go. Then the city officials can go, well, the access is there. it's not our fault that Russell doesn't show up. He never shows up. He could come anytime. And they don't understand that
Right.
they pushed you away by not welcoming you in. Whatever, when you were in middle or high school, having teachers, like I got to know Foster Hicks, who might have been retired by the time he went through school, but he was like taught for 50 years at Hogan High and was on council, and he would have all his students going to council meetings and making comments and doing things in high school so that they knew this exists.
Right.
You know, you can do this. This is your way to get engaged. And he had a huge impact. When I knock doors, I meet people all the time that were in his class, and they know, you know, they're more engaged politically because they were in his class. They had that opportunity. And I think our current leaders don't realize that they're excluding by not inviting people and by not making space for people to come in.
And they're excluding by not being present. You know, our
Yeah.
current mayor, I've never seen in real life. I've never seen him in real life. I've seen his face online,
Yeah.
and I barely heard him speak. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you could serve for 4 years without being present is
Yeah.
kind of insane.
And
It's
two
a
scary.
little
and
scary.
2 terms on council prior to that.
Right.
Well, my opponent, had you met her? Pippin? Had you met her? She was on council for 2 terms.
Yeah. Well, I just recently met Pippin.
That's what I'm saying. She was on council for 2 terms.
I've seen her one other time. I saw her at the, I believe she was at the toy drive thing that Jamila did.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, that makes
recognized
sense. She
her
posted
face.
Jamila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that. To have that, to be within the system for 8 years, 4 years, and we only see you when you need our vote, is not okay.
Yeah.
It has to be.
That's-
It gotta be. It gotta
that's
be
the
better
problem.
than that.
That's the problem. Hello, my
Hello.
dear.
Hey, how you doing?
You're gonna have to walk
I know. I was
Around.
thinking, like, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hey, everybody. How y'all all doing?
How you doing?
Good. I'm
Nice to
Heather.
meet you.
Nice meeting you. I'm Cassandra. Nice meeting you.
Hi.
Hi. Nice meeting you,
Good to see you.
Cassandra.
Nice to meet you. That's my brother's name.
Dope.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, take them home. Wait, we do need another plate.
No, it's okay. I had chicken beforehand.
Okay.
There, you already ate.
The kids at school, so that's the only time I get a plate to myself.
So I was giving the background of your win and your win and the gatekeepers and the exclusion, and we were just kind of chatting generally about, you know, how to get more people engaged, and also the fact that the current and past leaders never really are out in the community, so
Right.
nobody gets to know them.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Explain to us, like, in more detail what your role is and what you do or you intend to do. Or...
I'm gonna do.
Oh, yes. So for the Board of Supervisors, it is, I'd say, is the middleman between like the state and the city. So all the money that comes to cities go through the county. When we're talking about county services, whether it's public health, whether it is park and recs or open space, some housing dollars come through the county as well. In that role, I will be overlooking our county's budget. So our county's budget is $1.6 billion. And I am really blessed, 1.6.
But that's across county, so Fairfield.
All
Vallejo.
7 cities.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our county budget. We don't have a large revenue for Solano County. And Vallejo's revenue is even less, and oftentimes have not gotten its fair share from the county because we're a part of the Southern County. Only city that's a part, Vallejo and Benicia, is part of the Southern County. And the way that the redistricting happened at the state level, Vallejo was with Contra Costa, and we were one of the smallest cities in Contra Costa County versus now we're the largest city in Solano County.
Wow.
So that's some things that the Board of Supes does. And like for me, I want to take the position to a different level where I want to make sure that we have an in-district office where people could come in, talk about the services that they need at a county level, where we can prevent evictions, etc. But also leveraging our partners at the state level. Our Assemblywoman is the chair of the Transportation Commission. We're the only largest city in the Bay Area that does not have a streamlined transportation system. So BART stops before it gets to Vallejo. We only have Soul Trans, but within Solano County, you have 7 different transportations. We only have the ferry, but we are not even connected to the Chase Center yet. We should have been one of the first connected.
Right.
Right? So Those are some of the things that this office does. And I also want to do like a paid internship for our young folks because we have a 30% vacancy rate at the county, and we want to make sure that our folks are pipelined through, or at least that they know they have access to civil service jobs and different opportunities. So I want to do like a youth enrichment program, and that's something I'm gonna have to fight for. I was just last night. I was at the the waterfront coalition. So Vallejo is now part of a statewide waterfront coalition with the courts. And they're now doing a study and pouring money into it, but guess who is getting the least amount of dollars? Vallejo. So after last night, we'll be meeting with the Bay Area Council in order to increase the dollars because we are the last affordable waterfront, specifically in the Bay Area for Black and brown folks. And when we're talking about building generational wealth, what does that really look like for us? And next week, I'll be hosting a conversation with Michael Tubbs. Hopefully he can come here in Vallejo to talk about anti-poverty work. So although it's supposed to be one thing looking at the budget, I want to expand this position as much as possible. I live in the Crest, so this is an opportunity for me really to, like, I drive past it every day. So how do we make sure this is truly an equitable position where anyone has access to it and it's no longer gatekeeped once I leave?
You from Vallejo?
No, I'm from the city. I'm just point to be exact.
You heard? Come on.
But both my boys, 707, say that word.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's a hood.
Wow.
It's exciting. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah, I mean, the example that I always think about too, with the fair, we were talking about the fairgrounds earlier, and that there's not, it's such a good space for a venue, to create recreation for young people. Like that's our unlock. And the way that they were doing it in the past was they were inviting people from North Vallejo to give input by saying, hey, come to Fairfield in the middle of the day for this community meeting. I mean, I don't think anybody went, right? So it's about flipping the script and actually getting in there and going, hey, you know what? Let's have something in North Vallejo where people can come at a time that's more convenient for them and a place that's convenient for them to talk about what they want to see at that site.
Right, especially the fairgrounds specifically, because that was when we met and talked with him. He was like, oh, well, I can't promise you anything, etc. And one of the things was making it an amphitheater. So it's like, if we're going to make this amphitheater, will it be equal to everyone? I just don't want to see like rock concerts, none of that. Like, I am a fan. My dad was a rapper in the 90s, so like I grew up in the studio. My cousin part of 11.5 and everything else. Yeah, so I was like, is this open to everyone? And they were like, well, we don't know.
Give me some of the peppers too.
I was like, so you're saying black folks are associated to...
We've been dealing with that now.
Exactly.
And that's where I feel like it's important for us to get people in office who are actively in this community, so there's not like a fear of it. You feel me? Like if you're not active in it, you're always going to see it as higher risk. You know, when it's like we're
well,
not,
you know what you
we're
see
not.
on the news.
Exactly.
What you hear. It's like, you know where it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, good sir.
That's it's exciting, and it's also mixing politics, policy, and culture as well. And one, and I think what really took me over the edge, and when we were talking about outreach, was like 40 endorsing my campaign. So, and him going, and we're having these conversations, and we're following up because he's saying, what can I do more for Vallejo? In a sense of, but it's mixing that culture with the education so people understand the politics of it all and understand how these policies truly impact them.
That's what I'm on. At least opening the door to where people, or being a voice to where people understand that our biggest thing in the city is like we have no communication from our leaders. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they sound like. You guys can walk past us in the street and no one would know. You know, and that's an issue. You can't be at a point of leadership and no one knows you're the leader.
And that's what we need to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to change, and it needs to be an ongoing conversation because we need to be able to check in every once in a while and go, you know, what am I missing? Like, say, once I'm in office, I plan to win. Once I'm in office, like, who am I missing, right? Like, let's check in every few months. Like, what are who are we leaving
You're
out?
not
Like, how
walking down
is
the
this
street and
going?
people like Andrea.
Yeah.
Then you're not acting in that role you need to be in, because that's how we feel about our people. You feel me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel it build, like during the campaign, I definitely felt it build.
Yeah.
The first time I came out when you were, because I was helping her and kind of doing my own campaign initially, to like, who's this lady? To like, now I know more people when I come up, you know, but it's a slow, right? It's a, sometimes you don't know who you don't know. So you have to be in conversation with folks that are in different parts of Vallejo, that are out in different parts of Vallejo that I'm not already in, and make sure that I have the right way to kind of come in and be in those spaces and make sure folks' voices are heard. Just base level. That's like base level what we want to be doing.
Right.
And that if they're not engaging, like I had a town hall on Sunday, and we're gonna do something in the crest. But I had a town hall on Sunday downtown, so not like
It wasn't a spoon in that?
No, that's what it is.
And I checked the room.
Okay.
There was. You tripping. I'm sorry.
That's vegetarian too. That's fine.
It's all been
The only one that's not is the butter chicken.
Yeah, not like an exclusive space, right? It was downtown. It was in the Jokester room, but it was very sort of elderly, like it was a certain demographic. So that makes you think, okay, well, this is the demographic that's coming to this stuff. So how do we reach who doesn't have this information and who do you need to bring in?
And I think that's why, like, the kids, especially like the youth, because we were going to the high
Butter
school,
chicken and Lincoln.
and we were going inside the schools, and we said, you guys can lead a
Well,
form.
everybody can
We
have
weren't
it.
asking adults to do the form. We were asking the kids to do it because they're going to be authentic and
Thank you.
really honest. And how they ask the questions. I was like, shit, y'all got me up here sweating for a bit. But going to the kids, and then I'm telling them, slide in my DMs. You don't have to call me. We're like, okay, we're making a connection, and it was different when we did go downtown and had a more like elderly crowd.
I don't know what to say to that.
right.
I don't know if you can, because you don't got the.
But yeah, to look at a
so
crowd
I'm
and not
like,
go
alright,
and
let me
not
just
conclude,
cut
like, oh, these are the only people that care.
tell it
But
first.
to look at the
Exactly.
crowd and go, like, someone's missing here. What do I need to do to make them to get them here?
I'm gonna
And that's
cut
the
it
thing
because
is
it's
like, our leader is going to engage more in the community.
Geriatric millennials.
Because right now it's like, we
Right.
can vote.
it's a
There's only
it's
so
called
much
a
of the city
Osmo.
that actually
And it's like it's just a smaller
We're the
camera.
ones who feel passionate about the people that we have
Pretty.
available.
Yeah.
Pass me one of them.
But for the most part, it's like,
This one right? Yeah.
the
Yeah.
voting's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
Well, yeah, if nobody's really reaching you, then why would you? I think that's the big thing. And I tell my I try to tell my students, like, if you write in Mickey Mouse, write in Mickey Mouse, but like, you're not a likely voter until you vote. Like, no one's gonna, like, you have to make them hear you, make them listen to you. But
But also, like, you have some
it shouldn't
folks.
be on them. It should be on them.
Yeah.
People should be listening to them
But
without them having to do
regardless,
that.
you have your high propensity voters and you have your low propensity voters. And I think that's one thing about our consultants, because they allow me to go to the low propensity voting neighborhood first. Like,
Yeah.
I walked those neighborhoods just
Yeah.
as much as I walked the high propensity voters. And remember, I told you,
Yeah.
like, I had walked up on, I walked up on some folks. They were smoking, and they were like, "Well, we gotta put it out." I'm like, "You can keep smoking. I don't give a damn." I just need y'all to register to vote, and we had to talk about the felony conversation. Just because you have a felony doesn't mean that you can't vote anymore, right? Like, let's really talk about it. And then I also asked $5 for $5. Can y'all donate $5 to the campaign? If y'all got 5 on the blunt, 5 on the campaign. I'm just saying. Like, let's have these conversations where people are, because oftentimes our leaders don't go to these corners and don't talk to these folks at all.
Most of the time, they really just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And
I find that the things that young people care about most are the things that you really, really do, the local decisions really do impact their daily lives.
Yeah.
Not that the national stuff on environment, housing, and stuff like that. Not that those votes don't matter, but like the local.
We don't even have the leisure to care about emissions.
Yeah.
Like we just don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Although we are the communities that suffer the consequences
Affected by
of
it.
Yeah, because I always tell people all the time, if we're looking at North Vallejo, I say it's cut off by the freeways. So we'll have a higher percentage of asthma or respiratory issues from a East Vallejo or other part of Vallejo. South Vallejo is the other part of Vallejo
Yeah.
that has a high
Really
respiratory,
high,
yeah, because of the refineries. And that's because we
And the
are
freeway,
so in
yeah.
survival mode where we're
Yeah.
living paycheck to paycheck, having to feed everybody. We can't come up for air.
Right.
Which one you want? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm such a mama. So y'all
I
tell me to
appreciate it. You can
stop.
just move it here.
Okay.
Right here, yep.
Where are you guys from? Vallejo?
I just didn't want to reach over his plate.
What's your connection to? How you guys get connected?
I'm from Vallejo.
I know you are, but
I've been
these
here
guys.
since before, so Hirsch is a business partner of mine. He's helped me
Right.
build my company. Tietta's a business partner of mine.
Yeah.
Malachi is like a mentee of ours and an artist.
Nice.
Slash has been in Vallejo throughout his life, and he
That's
documents my life.
That's great.
Building business.
That's fantastic.
I've been in myself about a decade.
Nice. That's great.
What part of the city?
I live in Mission Bay.
Oh, okay. Oh, Mission Bay. We'll call it Mission Bay. No, they really built that part up nice.
It's fake though. It's like it's very fake though. It's like
No, you know,
there's
it
no
is.
culture in it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's very manufactured.
And that's what we can do. That's what we can do differently here. Hopefully, right? Is when we build up, because everyone's messed up so far and we've stagnated and nothing's really happened on the waterfront, nothing's happened on the fairgrounds, downtown still. We have an opportunity to actually do it in a way that includes culture and includes people.
It's
but
authentic.
and it's Vallejo. Like we don't want to be Benicia, we don't want to be San Francisco, we don't want to be Marin.
Yeah.
Like we need to be Vallejo, and we need leaders that are gonna just make sure the right people are in the room to ensure. I mean, did you hear what happened to Mario on Dia de los Muertos, or not Dia de los Muertos, the Fiestas Patrias?
No.
I'll tell you guys. It was like a
Okay.
whole thing with the events, like the people that are just how different events get treated differently downtown depending on who's what. The Juneteenth, yeah. So
Yeah.
We saw
All 7 people?
Right.
I know, I was waving. I was like, you know what? I gotta hop out the car. My baby is an Omega Gent. I gotta go see him step. And be
Right.
But I'm gonna give you the same wave if it's 1,000 people or if it's 7.
But it was better than the previous. It's
It
growing.
had 3 more people
It
than
had
last
a few
year.
more people than last year, yeah. But yeah, the Fiestas Patrias, this big Latino, they had like 2,000 people or more. No, maybe 7,000 people. No, yours was 7,000. It was 2,000 people. The city like took the barricades off so cars were coming through and turned the sprinklers on. So the sprinklers were like hitting the stage, and they had to unplug everything because everybody's gonna get electrocuted. And they had their like vestidos and all that, like their costumes. And you're just like,
No
that's
way.
not okay. Yeah, just that's not okay. And Mario he's just had it. He's just at the end. He has his wits end.
You know what?
He lives in the city.
The most common story in Vallejo is that every person who does try is like washed out to their wits end.
Yeah.
And then they give up.
And this is, I think that like brings us back to where I kind of started the conversation of like, who am I to run for office? Just having been here, I mean, 8 years is fucked. I've been living dog years for the past 2 years, paying attention to politics in Vallejo, but it's because good people are burned out. Like they've put in so much, and they shouldn't have to keep giving all their blood, sweat, and tears to get, infinitesimal little changes here and there. Like somebody needs to take the baton that has some energy and has the capacity to do it, and then hopefully can pass it again at the end of it.
Right.
And that's,
Why do you feel like you're that person?
I mean, part of it was nobody else was stepping up. I think I didn't see anybody that I thought would be good in the race, and nobody else was there. And I was just talking to people, and everybody that I was talking to was going, we're screwed. We don't have anybody who's not going to do this. And a couple people actually came to me and they said, we've been thinking about this for a long time. We think you're the one to do this. You're the one to run for mayor. Made a pretty compelling case because I had been involved in ACLU. I had enough of a, I think, track record in my life of choosing professions and volunteer work that sort of showed those values, so that there was a demonstration of a willingness to serve community and just a value alignment. And then I think it's what I was saying earlier about just the point I'm in my life. The job security that I have, it's hard. I mean, running for office is hard, and being in office is hard, and having job security
Because we have a part-time.
is really council and mayor are part-time, so you have to keep your day job.
Like,
So I have,
the council is part-time, and they only get paid, not only, but like only get paid what, $14,000 a year.
yeah, it's not
But
it's not
they
a job.
do like 80 hours a week, because you have your different commissions and your different committees that you sit on, and you want to truly sit, and we're in like a rich region, so we need to be at all the tables within the region in order to get some dollars to come. So that's why we historically, Vallejo, have always had older or white,
They have the leisure.
because they have the
affluent,
leisure, the
more
affluent
affluent.
that sits on the council.
Yeah.
They have the
Mhm.
And it's usually
Exactly.
like realtors or
Exactly.
lawyers or people that
business
have
folks or landlords.
flexibility in their jobs that they can do this. Because the people that have 9 to 5s, it's really hard.
Right.
So I felt like my teaching, I can kind of adjust my teaching schedule where I have a real job, but I have the flexibility in that real job.
Mhm.
That explains why we were Googling like the salary
Why is that
of city
legal?
mayor versus like city manager. And it was
Right.
like,
And then we also have a manager council charter. So we don't have a strong mayor. We're not a strong mayor city like San Francisco or Oakland. We have a city manager strong charter. So although the city manager is hired by our council and our mayor, but it's really important to have the appropriate people sitting at the table to say that you're not doing a good job, and we need to make sure you're fired, because they're full-time and the mayor is part-time.
Wow.
that explains why we never seen him.
Yep. But it's like it does and it doesn't.
He's
In
part-time.
the sense that there's not, it's like it explains it, but it doesn't explain it, because it does not an excuse. Like they need to
Right.
be out more.
No, for
But
sure.
they're also
This
overwhelmed,
is my
yes,
part-time
but
gig.
it's a part-time
Right.
gig.
This is a hobby.
Yeah, it's
For
a
some folks.
it's a hobby.
It's like I play
And-
softball
That's so
recreation.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
that title being halftime is like wow.
Right?
Right. And that's
Imagine our
what people,
president being part-time.
Like
get
that don't even
people
sound
that-
real.
Right.
we get people that
That's
want to
crazy.
feel important, that want to cut a ribbon, that want to take a photo, that want to, and then maybe that want to ascend their political career up into positions that are paid full time. And you can, you get to rub elbows with your wealthy donors, and you make, it's a lifestyle decision for some people, I think. And that was another, motivator for me. There's like, that's not what I'm looking to do. And I think because I teach economics and I have a public policy background, and I think we need fighters. Like Cassandra also has a policy background. We need fighters that are going to bring resources for the region, the county, the region, the state, the federal, that are going to bring resources to Vallejo. And that requires people that know their stuff and like are going to get in that room and really fight for Vallejo and really fight for the community. The example that I always give is the 37. They're trying to put a toll on Highway 37.
That's such bullshit.
They're putting it.
They want to put a toll there?
They're gonna put a toll.
So it's going to be
But
even worse.
Yeah,
already
it's gonna get
approved.
worse. It's gonna get worse though.
Yes, it's already approved.
Because they're gonna put, what end are they gonna put it on, right? So it hits Marin, it hits Sonoma, and it hits us. They're gonna put it at our end. So everybody that comes from Vallejo that uses 37 has to pay this toll. But people that go from Marin to Sonoma or Sonoma to Marin, they don't have to pay the toll unless they come all the way to Vallejo. So not only do we have to pay
We
a
would just
third
go
toll,
around.
I mean, but that's really, how do you go right? You go up through Napa.
And Marin is so rich.
But their policy, they have more money. They have their policy. The guy that runs the head of the state senate in California represents Sonoma and Marin. And our state senator lives in Napa and doesn't give a crap about Vallejo and gladly signed on. And nobody was looking out for us. Nobody was in that room kicking and screaming for Vallejo, going like, we already paid 2 tolls to go 2 directions out of our city. We only have one other direction to go after this one. So
But to be
it's
fair,
that type of stuff.
Yeah, but they are going to put it on the other end, because again, we have been in those rooms, and like
Are you making progress?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
they
told them
are.
I just got my car out of fast track jail, so like I didn't have tags for 2 years. So we invited me because of Fast Track.
You're authentic.
Yeah, so, and I was like, hey, like if we put this on 37, like my G, I'm never.
I'm back in Fast Track
I ain't
jail.
never going to go.
These tags will never get renewed
Exactly.
again.
I'm gonna be riding dirty for at least another 3 years to pay this off. And they were like, we never looked at it that way.
And that is the
So-
perspective that's necessary. in
Exactly.
those rooms, right?
Exactly.
So they're
Exactly.
moving to the other end. So they're talking. They're going.
They
to do,
actually are considering.
Yeah,
they're
they
gonna
are
move
considering
together.
to
All right.
on the Marin side.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That
But
that was
again,
something
we
I
have
was
to
gonna.
keep going. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
another
I'm ready to
thing.
fight that one
Yes.
hard because. Yeah,
That's fine.
because they already. I mean, we already have to pay the same tolls as the rest of the Bay Area to go across our two bridges. We pay the same as the Bay Bridge. They have a transit option. We pay the same as the Golden Gate Bridge. They're wealthy. At a certain point, you know, who was in the room representing us when they made those decisions?
Right. Yeah, and then it's not folks from Vallejo at the table. So literally, I think I'm one of 2 people that are in the Vallejo region that are sitting at those tables. That's why I want to be on MTC so bad now. Because we are now having like these robust conversations, and I could push back. I'm like, we're talking about working class folks, like we're talking about folks, union folks who have to do work on the other side. This 37 impacts the Black and brown community. So how do we really have these conversations?
Is yours full time?
Yeah, thank God. So I'm
Congratulations.
have to
Yeah.
quit my job. Yes,
Yeah.
thank God.
Where were you working before?
Mostly the mayor's office in San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's exciting. January. She takes office in January.
Yeah, take off. Yeah. I'm not
She
in
already
office
won.
yet.
It's a weird situation. She already won, but she hasn't actually taken the job yet.
So now I get to campaign for Andrea and Alex and Dr. T.
Yeah.
Because we need the voting.
Why India?
So of the 4 candidates, and I know them all, and I like them all. Andrea, because she is has the most courage to attack the issues that our city has ignored for several years. And it started with the ACLU, bringing them in and really having that hard conversation with our police department. I always tell folks, my North Star are my boys. I'm raising 2 Black boys in the city with the 19th deadliest police force in the entire state of California. So it's really important for me not to burn this bitch down by making sure that we have a police department that is responsive to the needs of community versus killing our community. And Andrea was at that table bringing in people to have those conversations and really educating us around how to declassify some of those who have been involved in serial shootings here in the city. So if she's willing, if she has the courage to do that, and it's a scary thing to do because you're going up against the POA, you're going up against your city infrastructure, and you're basically your good boy club. To do that, we're breaking some barriers by bringing along communities like ours to have those conversations and be educated. So that's one. Also, she has an economics background. Laurel has been getting the short end of the stick internally and externally. So some of the deals that have gone down, from the Blue Rock Springs, where we sold the land for $1 million. But it,
400,000.
I'm not even 400,000.
400,000.
Okay, 400,000, but it's
That's
worth
crazy.
18 million to
Yeah.
$30 million. We should have sold it at the amount where we gave up Mare Island for some pennies.
Yeah.
And a lot of our folks who've been and to be quite honest, Robbie runs just to run. Love Robbie. That's just his part to be a part of the
Yeah,
community.
he doesn't.
But he runs in every election.
Yeah.
If I could keep it 100 with y'all.
Yeah. See, I'm not gonna
We
say
need
that,
that.
but you can say that.
But
Yeah.
we
Yes.
need that. We need that.
Dwight, I love him. I love his passion.
Dwight. You ain't gotta say it.
know,
Okay,
We
thank
know.
you.
Okay,
All right.
Okay,
And-
beautiful.
And Pippin has been on the council for 12 years when some of these deals have happened, including with the police as well. And now, and when we're talking about even just recently with the interviews for our police chief, or even with the hiring of our city manager, have been silent. on what's happening. City manager, we had 2 qualified candidates, both black, both live in Vallejo, yet neither one of them got the job.
And we're made the finalists,
Or
right? The
made
2
the finalists. And the one black woman, they said she talked too much. And she has a doctorate's degree. So,
Right.
Can I share something that came to me, and I would love your honest response. So something came to me that, we had a previous black chief with Shawnee Williams,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
And they said you were a bit against him.
No. I'm wondering I'm trying to figure out where that might have come from, where they might be going with that.
everything is sticking out the wall.
So what happened? I've been an advocate for police reform. He was actually trying to reform. He genuinely was trying to reform. Was he perfect? No. But he was trying in good faith to reform, and I was fully in support of his effort. The Police Officers Association, the police union, it's not a union, they're sort of the villain in the story. Frankly, I mean, they're if you're going to pick a villain in the story, they're the villain. Not even a lot of the individual officers, the institution that is the Police Officers Association and the leadership of it. They declared they're the ones that they've threatened me. They've threatened me later. Yeah, they use those bully tactics. They declared war on Shawnee Williams. They did everything they could to undermine him. They did everything they could to the detriment of public safety in Vallejo. They encouraged officers to go on sick out. They encouraged officers to leave.
Wow.
They stopped processing applications that were coming in for new officers. They did everything they could to manufacture a crisis to push Shawnee out because he was trying to reform, and probably some racism too, probably because he was black. So
He was being racially
But
harassed.
are
He
they
got-
still in place?
yeah.
We
So
need
he got
residents to sue the VPO.
yeah, it's bad.
Who's the leader of the
So
police union?
his name's Mike Nicolini. So I'll finish with Shawnee Williams
American Nightmare.
got
Netflix. Yes,
he
Yeah.
got
Okay.
that's the former
Yeah.
head of the
The
PO.
bad
Yeah. He got racially motivated, and this never really got brought up. Public, it never got made public because he was threatened, and he has family, he has kids. Like,
Right.
this is where I'm coming back to, like, I can do this because I can I'm in a position where I can take more risk, and my husband and I can take more risk because we don't have, like, when you have kids, you have to worry about them. So Shawnee, I mean, he couldn't make public, I think, what they did to him, but it was a very racially motivated death threat. I think it should be investigated for hate crime, personally. And the city officials at the time, which included my opponent on city council, but also the city manager at the time, all the leaders in the city at the time, they chose to push Chief Williams out and not try to figure out who sent the death threats. So Shawnee left, and whoever did that, they're still in power. To your question. So I don't know if whoever said that, I've been bringing up that I think it's insane that they never investigated that, because somebody committed a hate crime, probably committed a hate crime.
They made an actual death threat.
Undertones, like
For sure.
undertones.
For
Yeah,
sure.
having been recipient, like they use like fearful language.
It's like, I'm touching you, but I'm not touching you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a
See, and that's
it was
the
like a
thing.
Halloween card
I
with a
think of
skeleton hanging
things
from a noose.
like this
You know,
with our
so it's like-
leaders, because it's like, if all of that is still in place, how do we move forward if we still have
Thank you so
these
much.
powerful infrastructures in place
Yeah.
still, like that are funding
Yeah.
these places
I
and
love
over
it. I
the
always
things
come
that
here.
we wish to
And also,
utilize.
Yeah.
Because they're not disappearing. We just keep
No,
getting
'cause I
new
ate
faces
beforehand.
in front of
I
you.
didn't know we
Right,
were coming
and
to
that's
eat. I thought we was going to a house
the
at first.
interesting piece that's
So
come
I
out
scarfed down some
again.
chicken.
So what happened since Shawnee left is that the State Department of Justice, like the California Attorney General, just straight up sued Vallejo for police reform. Shouldn't have been necessary, because our leaders needed to have had more courage, and that's why I was up at city council meetings just screaming, like, by myself, just going, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? This is what's happening. Why are you doing nothing?
And I heard that Pippin
And-
kind of stood in the middle without,
She likes to pay lip service, but when push comes to shove, she doesn't.
Right.
She took money from the VPOA, and when all the killings were first happening, she and her colleagues on city council, they negotiated the police contract, and they actually took out drug testing out of the contract, it's not random drug testing. What it is
Police
it's
officers aren't drug tests.
no, not in Vallejo.
That's
because
insane.
If they use
That's insane.
right?
Oh, they going
Right?
down.
If they
I know they
use
smoking
or
weed.
shoot somebody or have get in a car accident or anything, we can't test them.
Even if
They could be on
they,
crack.
even if they have an incident, they
They could be on crack.
That's exactly what they took out.
That's
If
what
they have
they
an
took
incident,
out of the
that's what my
contract.
opponent and her cronies
Whoa.
took out of the contract.
You know, the
Which is
only
like, if
people
you're
who
a
would
truck
take that
driver-
out of
You
a
mean
contract
Pippin?
is a drug addict.
yeah, exactly.
Or people that are
something I would take out of the
bought
contract.
by the drug by
That's
the
insane.
know that
Which
the
is like,
people
if
who
you're
are
a
doing
truck
these things
driver-
are using drugs and that
Right.
or whatever.
But
Right?
aren't impacted by the issue either.
if you're a
They're
truck
like,
driver
why
and you
would
get
I-
in a crash,
Right.
the first thing they have you do is blow into a breathalyzer and piss in a cup.
Right.
Like that's just how
But if you take a life-
society works. But you can be in the Vallejo Police Department and shoot somebody, and we are now prohibited from protesting. Yeah, that was how they handled the police situation.
When you're in office, how are you tackling like these issues?
Yeah, I think some of it's gonna have to be creative solutions behind the scenes. I'm talking with a lot of people, my colleagues that are like former cops, former chiefs, people in Vallejo that have backgrounds in law enforcement, trying to figure out what do we do about this police officers association and the stranglehold they have on the city. And yeah, I mean, so
How does that?
we have good people come. We got to get good people elected because we need to have a good majority on city council, and I do think we will. Tina Ariola, who we met on Monday, she's good, in my opinion. She's like always stood with. She needs support, but she's always stood with the impacted folks. She's South Vallejo, like born and raised. She represents South Vallejo.
She was there with her daughter.
She was there. No, but she was there by herself.
Oh.
Was she there?
Thinking the wrong person.
Yeah, she has an adult daughter, but yeah, she was the one with like older. She was the older woman
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
two.
that was
Yep,
over near
yep.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
next to the woman that beat you. Tea.
Okay.
There were
Yep.
two older
Yep.
ladies with
Yep.
her. Yeah, okay, that other one. So we just need a good majority of people. I think the mayor facilitates all of the discussions, the ones out in the open and the ones behind closed doors. So I think you need the bulldog, for lack of a better word. Like you need someone in those discussions that's going to hammer the points and just call it out, and that's what McConnell doesn't do. He's a doormat. I mean, he might have integrity and care, but he doesn't lead from the front, and you need somebody in those rooms that are gonna just draw a line and say, I'm not crossing this line. If you all want to cross this line, fine, but I'm not crossing this line. And then have people with you, have Tanya and Alex and Tina and whoever else wants to come along that's on there. Get that good majority. I mean, it's not gonna be pretty, and we have to do a few things at the same time, right? We have to reform the police department, force them to actually reform in good faith. That's gonna be hard. We have to get some support for patrol. Like, we don't have any officers on patrol. People are just running red light. That red light I've seen every time I go to that light. Admiral County Redwood, somebody runs it. It's terrifying. I'm always just like waiting for the crash, the squealing tires in the crash. So we do need enforcement because it's the same communities that are impacted by police violence that are now less safe because there's no response when they actually are dealing
They
with
got a
crime.
tough job.
They have So we need backup for them. So we need good, like, I don't know if it's highway patrol or the sheriff or whoever. We need some support while we're reforming and while we're building trust. And then we need to be in community doing the work to try and address the root causes of crime and violence and create positive ways for young people to spend their time so they're not getting into trouble, deal with poverty so we're not having people committing crimes of poverty, like creating space for good, interaction so people can be proud to be in Vallejo and maybe not. You're not gonna stop sideshows. I mean, we're in the Bay Area. We're not gonna stop. We're not gonna stop sideshows, right?
But we stop the killing.
But it's a different energy around sideshows
It
now
is.
than what
Or maybe we find like
Find a way to allow them to do a sanction. And
channel that, and I don't know if that's a thing, but Vallejo, if somebody's gonna try it, why not Vallejo? We're kind of, we have a I know maybe that could be our first act.
And that
Sideshows,
allows
safe sideshows. People
that
come
allows
out.
them to get the energy out, in a way that's like embracive, because Jeff Gordon is from Vallejo and he made it to NASCAR, so it's like we have to figure out a way to be embracive, because this is what kids are excited in, and maybe we can show them there's a route through that, but we just need to figure out a way that's not detrimental to the city. But we also, these are things that we have to communicate that we just never get. I'm waiting for us to have a leader that really, talks to us. That is going to be an exciting day, and it's going to build so much morale, because people kids feel cool when they know the guy. You know, when it's like, this is our person, you know, like you feel good about that.
And it's not just this is that person, because that'll be what I'm trying to do is be out and meeting folks. But it's also bringing other people in. Like let's get more people on commissions. Let's get more people so that people know their neighbors are, oh, you're doing this thing with the City of Vallejo, or a youth. Like I really want to create a youth leadership council. We used to have a youth commission.
Reinstate the youth
commission and get high school students from Bethel and Vallejo High and maybe some of the others, mainly those two, and maybe
we got
whatever. Mainly the two, and bring them in and get them. I mean, like when I went into that summer program with Selena and I was like, what do you all want to see? I just went by to say hi while they were doing this youth program of Boys and Girls Empowerment, and I was like, here, while I'm here, what do you all want to see from your next mayor? Like, what do you want to see happen in Vallejo? And they were like, band school, you know, and I'm like, okay, well, no, be serious. And then they had some good ideas. After they got through their like snarky, they wanted to have some attitude, they had good ideas. They were like, hey, that purple building, you should put something there. We don't have a bowling alley. Why don't we have a door for the homeless? Like they actually had good ideas. So make them feel heard, you know, so that they get them things to do that isn't getting into trouble. If they want to be part of car culture, find a way to foster that and get a good, not lethal way to do that.
And I think Vallejo is a very special city, and I think we should always be forward in being different and new and to change.
I love it.
And to be a city that embraces what's happening.
Yeah.
You can't combat what's happening. It's like, this is what's happening, so let's figure out a way to embrace what's happening and move towards something.
Yeah.
Because the kids aren't bad. They just have nothing to do.
They don't have anything to do.
Right.
I was really thinking about this the other day because I was trying to think about what I did in high school. I thought I lived in a pretty great place. I was thinking about what my friends and I did in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you, if like a high school kid here, like what are you doing?
Nothing. You like after you leave school,
Yeah.
there's nothing for you to do. We don't even have a sports center no more. They robbed us of everything.
We would at least like go. We had like a Borders books walking distance. I mean, some like arcade, a Blockbuster. Yeah. But there's just nothing. There's nothing, and there's not even that much sports and arts. Which the arts is like. I mean, both of those are huge misses, but the arts especially. We have such a bright community for that, for art opportunities for art youth.
At the very least, you know, a sports center and somewhere where we can consume entertainment. It's like that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Lastly, there's nothing that's going to come out closer to RaceCon that is going to make us look crazy talking to you and standing beside you. Is there's somebody who has this point of view? Because we've seen it in Vallejo. We know. We know.
I have absolutely no
happened.
idea. So the big thing is I was mentioning earlier that my husband used to work for the city of Vallejo and was trying to blow the whistle on corruption, and the city has been fighting. He had to sue for wrongful termination, and they've been fighting that for 4.5 years. So that actually just settled last week and got in the news, and that's all they've been attacking me on. Cassandra can corroborate this. That's really all they've done on me.
And that was
and it's not even a bad thing once you get information on it and you see why, like, oh, he's suing the city of Vallejo. Well, no, he's not. And like, why is he was wrongfully terminated for blowing the whistle on the bad land deals and racism and sexism and discrimination in City Hall. Oh, okay, actually, most people find that out and they like me more. They're like, we're even more excited to support you. But that's the only thing. And I've been really upfront, and I think that's part of why we built so much momentum is I've been really upfront about that from the beginning. Every single person that's endorsed me, I've had that conversation with them and said, like, this is the thing you should know because this is what they're gonna come at you with. Everything else, I got nothing else. I'm squeaky clean. Yeah, I'm not in fast track jail. I'm not at the sideshows.
I was like, I'm in fast track jail. I said Cam did 19 years.
Yeah,
I was like, I listened.
Cam's awesome too. Yeah.
because
It's-
I don't
it's-
want you to get hit.
And that's the beautiful thing. It's like I'm gonna show up as who I am.
Yeah.
And it's better to be crucified who you are than who people believe you are.
And her partner's on, like, it's like you want a good example for use of like redemption and like, I mean, it's just, yeah, like they're real people and they're good people and it's gonna be transformative. I'm more excited about you than I am about me. I'm like, it's gonna be transformative for the community.
To like at a county level, like yes, I get to oversee the dollars, and we could pour $1 billion into Vallejo, but if we don't have the right leadership to implement those dollars,
Yeah,
then it's
gonna
going to
get
waste.
wasted.
So I'd rather have like
Yeah.
good folks in leadership positions that can implement this to the end, and not just in the back door, like those back door rooms, whatever, but also with community. Like I always tell folks, like y'all can cuss me out if y'all see me. If y'all be like I messed up, y'all didn't like my vote, let me know how it is. And it's the same thing with the leaders at the local level. If y'all don't like something, like come to the meeting or host the meeting. I never say come to the meeting, host the meeting, so that way we can come to you and meet you where you're at, and you could be able to design this with us. It's just I just got elected to the seat, but this isn't my seat. This is our seat, right? And it's the same thing with the mayor's seat.
Yeah, and coming at it without fear. People are already pissed. I mean, people have a lot of mud to slink in this city, but it's a small group of people, and they're just angry, justifiably, at being failed year over year over year. But if we have elected officials who are afraid of their constituents, we're never going to get anywhere. And I think that's like those are the conversations we're always having. Is just how do we change? We're going to have to change the culture so that people actually believe and trust that when they reach out to their elected official, they will get a response, they will be heard. They might not get the answer they want to hear, but they're going to get a genuine, honest answer, and they're not going to get bullshit of like, we'll do it later, you know.
Familiarity really helps. It's like people see me walking in this city and riding my bike and picking up my children, and I feel like that's the same way we should see our leaders. It's like, we don't see y'all around the city, and I think that's going to change a lot. It builds a certain rapport within the people that you serve. You can't change things here and then go home to a different community and that be okay, you know. You have to be there and present.
Yeah.
Even just an open level of communication with even like for people who don't show up, but just so they know what's going on in the city, what is happening behind closed doors, what deals like there's a lot of stuff that we've learned about that we had no idea was happening in Vallejo.
Yeah.
Because it's all happening behind closed
Having an open floor discussion where you just invite the community to come out and say, ask me whatever, and I'm going to answer you honestly, and we can build. That is like step one. We never got that with leadership from no one, and it's like, how? Like if we just get one of those, that's a start to people feeling like, oh no, she cool, she messed with us.
And then it sets the expectation, and this is where, like, I think you were saying earlier, we want to make sure that folks never get back in. Like, we build the system so it extends beyond any one individual. It's not dependent on, like, oh, while Cassandra's in this seat, it's going to be responsive, but as soon as she's gone and goes off the chain, whatever, or as soon as one of us turns off city council, it's going to just go back to the way it was. You want to build that expectation so that the community is used to accessibility and responsiveness, so that when new folks run for office, they can spot the fake people and go like, no, why aren't you doing a town hall? We're used to people doing town halls.
Right.
We're used to people answering our questions. Why aren't you?
It goes back to what you said, like not necessarily being afraid of constituents, but being accountable to them, and not being afraid of the donors. And that's what we have seen. Folks who have donated to our leaders here, they are now accountable to them. Like, and that goes to, for example, downtown. The reason why downtown looks that way is because one of the landlords donates to the our leaders on an annual basis. So I won't have to enforce a vacancy tax, or I won't do a code enforcement because you donated. This is something that we're government. And it's a detriment to then the constituents.
I recently heard a few of the businesses were like closing because somebody like hiked the rent up to like a crazy amount, and they're just like unable to afford it. And I was just like, what does that benefit the
Right.
owner of the building to push out the people who are there, and now there's really no reason to go
Yeah.
downtown. Now you just have an empty building. It's like,
Yes.
But they don't care because they can just write it off if it's vacant.
Right.
And that's why you have to have people that are beholden to them that can actually enforce it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or some of these developers, like they'll control part of the waterfront and they'll make these big promises, they'll donate to politicians, and then they'll get these really sweet deals that don't require them to actually do anything.
Right.
And so they just get to sit on it, they let it appreciate, they use it as a tax write-off, and then when they're ready, they leave town.
Like
And the
what
people
happened with our waterfronts, 20
Yeah.
years, one person was in charge, and then they finally ended their contract after like 23 years.
crazy.
And
Nothing happened for 23 years.
Exactly, and look at our waterfront.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the waterfront is such a beautiful area.
It is.
Right.
So much more than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. And all the way down to Cal Maritime. I mean, it's the stuff near the ferry terminal, but there's an opportunity to do
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, I drive up to Cal Maritime often. They have like a really beautiful like overlook. If
Yes.
you drive up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's such a very good.
It's
like,
really beautiful
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like I went to Austin, Texas, and like their downtown is like a turf green area with like a place for kids, and they have an ice cream shop and a
Yeah.
bookstore and a restaurant, and it's just like open, and it's like you can tell that they want to build community
Right.
in their city.
Yeah.
It's like you go downtown and you're like, well.
We don't even have bike trails.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, just like base level.
yeah, even the bookstore is like, all right.
Have you been to the other one, Ethnic Notions? So Ethnic Notions, because there's Alibi, and then you have Ethnic Notions that's up the street. It's actually black owned, and she features a lot of the black and brown artists, local artists, and throughout the Bay Area. So
She
Miss
does
Ross,
events.
she's hardcore. She's like that old school black grandma that will cuss you out when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
Just letting y'all know. But once you in there, she loves you.
It's
Cuss
crazy
you
it
out and
doesn't
love
even
you.
show up on Google.
Yeah, she's not on Google. I don't know
Because
why.
that's Miss Ross. So
Yeah, she is on. Okay.
I'm just
That's
letting
getting
you know.
all in my
So
business.
it's across from the Muschetti Cafe. So if you
Okay.
put the Muschetti Cafe in your GPS, it's just across the street.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
In a purple.
We were just over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
It is
remember there's two.
What's that? What's
Yeah.
that Netflix thing called?
Netflix, American Nightmare.
Oh, you know what's crazy is I put it in our text thread.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, American Nightmare.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
great. I look forward to more. I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you guys more and just building. I really want to help and be a part of more meetings, and
Yeah.
where I can, I feel like this is the first time as a city we've had representation in the mainstream level to where there's people flying in and people looking at Vallejo and what we're doing, and as I grow, Vallejo kind of grows with me, and I really want to be a part of this new era of where it's going.
Yeah.
Can y'all do 707 then? Sorry, I just want to throw that out
We
there.
do.
Okay,
We're
'cause I
working
will-
on it for next
All right,
year.
I would like
Yeah.
to sponsor, please.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do a 707.
So we're working on Itty Bitty City Fest
Okay.
next year for 707 Day. 707 falls on a Monday, so we're
Yeah, I
thinking
know
of
it's
doing
a
it
Monday.
on the 6th instead.
You can
just
do
to-
it on a Monday. They have 415 there on a Monday, and it was
True.
packed.
True.
So,
In the evening, just do it in the evening on the Monday.
except Black Wall Street, they
So
had
yeah, we
people
already
out
got
there.
fairgrounds. I'm putting together the lineup now, and we're working on some dope people to bring to the city. So
Oh, yeah.
707 Day,
Yeah.
we own
Let
it.
me know what I can do, and if there's any like red tape that you come across, and that's the power that I have now.
Love it.
So we
So we
can.
lock your contact in.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And we'll message. We're gonna try to do. I haven't booked it yet, but we're gonna do probably a picnic or something in North Vallejo. We can just let you know when we have events. Like,
Please.
if you ever want to stop by, wouldn't be any pressure or anything, but just anytime you want to stop by.
Even if you have like
Let you know.
a running list of what you already have or what you're
Calendar.
thinking of, so
Yeah.
we can just put like preliminary dates in there. So
Yeah.
we are in town.
We're looking at next Saturday for the picnic. But it's
When
sneaking
when
up.
does the voting start?
A couple weeks.
October 7th.
The ballots get mailed, I think, on the 4th or the 5th, and so they'll probably start arriving. Yeah.
You feel good? You feel confident?
You know, I actually do, because people are pissed and they want change.
Nice.
And it's the money. There's a big money disparity. There's a lot of establishment people. You know, it's kind of like the establishment status quo folks versus the change. But she did it in March. I mean, it was the same fight with everybody split on the same sides. The big money.
And I was like, out, because I was out fundraising 2
she
for
kicked his
1.
ass.
So we
I mean,
had
she
5 on it Fridays. I want to tell you, like,
I
we
think
keep
when
the
you were
limits.
running for that, remember when we was in downtown and the guy came up to us with a flyer? I believe it was you because he was like, "It's the first black woman to." It was a little bit ago.
Yeah, so I the first black woman to represent District 1, second black woman elected to the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah.
And I'm the youngest. I'm the only one under 50 on our board.
Look at that.
So,
Yeah.
so it's really time to, like, for us to really mix culture. That's why I said all about culture, politics, and policy. And I live in the Crest. I live right on Sawyer Street.
Crest
So,
You heard?
I'm just saying.
I love it. I love it.
Not attached by any means.
You're affected. You're affected by everything that goes
Exactly.
on in this city. So that's a beautiful space to be in because you're really in an affected area.
Right. Yeah. So that's what, like, anything that, like, you want to do, whatever red tape that you may come across, even if you want to translate shit into policy. Because I always tell people, we always be like, fuck the police. But what does fuck the police translate into policy mean? Does that mean making sure they are drug tested after shooting? Does that make sure they're breaking that down?
That's where I am now. That's why I really want to meet with the police and everything because, like, just to do fairgrounds, you know, the sheriffs had to sign off and they love us and what we're building.
Right.
And I want to have that meeting because I feel like it just lacks communication within the community.
Right.
You know, it's not a hatred. It's just like that's a tough task to do, but it's also tough to be a civilian from Vallejo as well. You know, so just
You have to
having
meet
both.
people halfway.
Exactly.
More than
Having
halfway,
representation
honestly,
and communication of both
And
sides, and I
fairgrounds is
want to be
one
the key to that.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna
we'll
meet
have-
with the fire department too.
Yep.
And we'll have more sheriffs starting January because it's on the governor's desk right now and it was wrote specifically for Solano County. So we'll have a lot of retired sheriff officers coming back to the force to help patrol Vallejo.
So are they good people?
And
This
that's
is
the
the-
question. Yeah, and that's always
Like,
the
how can
question.
we be involved in the process of determining who serves for our city?
Yeah.
And
And
this
that's
is
the-
something we can talk about because
Exactly.
there's a few commissions that people can be a part of, and one
Exactly.
what we didn't get to mention earlier is the search for a new chief. There's been an interim chief since Shawnee left.
Yep.
The new search, they somehow managed to have a community panel, and
No one from District 2, our
No one from
district,
District 2,
North Vallejo, no one black on the
no
panel.
black people on the panel.
I don't know if
And-
we knew it existed.
No, because it was done pretty
Quiet.
under the.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of, so there's civilian, supposedly, right? Citizens are involved in hiring, screening police police
Wow.
candidates. There's a critical incident review board where people can review, uses of force and decide if it was within policy. There's a police oversight commission that her partner is going to be on. There's things that I think once we get better leadership in the city and we activate and empower these groups, then we can blast it out. And this is where the partnership is really important. You don't know who you don't know, and having council members just pick their friends for these commissions,
Right.
all the people that are excluded, they never get brought in. So how do we
there
reach all the rest of the folks?
Is there a way that you can send me maybe like a list of these like boards or
Yeah.
things, or maybe even somewhere where we can look them up so we
Yeah.
can see like
Exactly. And that's, I wouldn't have run it that. Yeah, like that. We have enough people like that.
Yeah.
I ran to try to break that cycle. So when we do the picnic, we'll definitely.
Yeah, you auntie. You just got a new nephew.
It's starting to see
I gave somebody $2 the other day. They was like, all right,
The
$2.
guy that,
Yes.
yeah,
I have
we
made
talked to
it.
one other
You
person.
made it. You auntie. For real.
The big
Yep.
county
I'll
crush.
show y'all the
So,
footage.
let's
So
go,
y'all
yeah.
will see them cutting
Thanks so
up.
much. It was great to
Y'all
finally
test them out.
get the chance to
Right.
chat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
For real though.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting
This is
you.
great. Why, what it is, what's going on. As a leader, it's like we need an active, present, communicative, not a press release. We need somebody on camera like, no, this is what happened, and this is why, and this is what I'm gonna do to fix it.
This is
That's
what I'm
not
gonna do about
happening.
it.
We're not
That's what's
doing that.
You know, I've been thinking this whole time since we did the OSCAP thing. I'm like, whoever's running, and I know it seems so like Gen Z, but you should have a social media manager because social media is really where everybody's getting their information. I'm serious.
I'm a geriatric millennial.
Because if
Me
you
too.
go,
You guys both are. I don't know. I didn't use Instagram until I ran for
no,
office.
for real, I wouldn't take it like lightly because if you could have a high social media presence, most people are on
That's your
most
goal.
people are on Instagram.
Yeah.
Most people are, and if you're communicating with people at that level, and it targets like the way that those social media apps work is they're gonna send it to the people who you're nearest. You'll really be able to communicate with the people in a new way. Like we're not watching the news. I can't remember the last time I walked in and you was watching the news. Or
Nigga, I don't watch TV.
right?
I don't even have
Instagram today.
every day.
we need more than a name. It has to be a face and a voice because we keep seeing things in the news and we never get any explanation for why or where our city is headed and why we should have respect for this person that we don't know what you guys look like or sound like or nothing. And that's kind of crazy. It's a little insane.
Even if you just
know?
have like an intern or somebody who you're explaining things to, and it's being documented so that you can share it later, so that way everybody who is following you in your campaign can be like, wow, she educated me on these problems and this and that.
We have that set up now where we record. I'm not a geriatric millennial too. We record everything, and we do have people that put like they take little snippets and put it on Instagram and put it up. But yeah, it's to me it's a start. It's not just part of the campaign. It's how do we maintain that?
And authentically. Now I had a whole convo with Hakeem, nigga. We not sitting in front of the camera acting like we're not who we are. Like it needs to be authentic.
When he stepped around in that chair, it was like my people from Angola. I was like, what?
I gave it to him. I gave it to him. I had that nigga come to the house. I said, you gotta, no, we not doing that.
That was funniest shit. I was like,
Hey, so this is real.
We need,
I don't even know how
we need
you.
authenticity. I just need.
hey, he turned around like he was Dr. Eagle and slammed the thing. I said,
authenticity.
hey.
What has really won for LaRussell, I feel like in his level of communication is like, if a 5-year-old didn't understand what you were talking about, you probably overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like the easiest way to be able to really make sure that you're
Ooh, my bad,
communicating
my
at
bad,
a
but-
level that everybody understands.
If
Because
bro
most
was
people,
running over here, I got scared.
I'm facing eviction.
Yeah.
I don't care about Prop 36.
No.
Right.
But if you explain it in a way where I can like eat it in 2 seconds, I might care.
Yeah. Yep. This is how this impacts you. This is where you can
Exactly.
But I'm not going to talk down. You know, it's not talking down. It's just going. We know you don't have bandwidth for this because you're dealing with all the 46 other things in your life right now.
Right.
Here's the information.
Get
Here's
a
what you
reality. Get
Yeah.
a reality and keep the lightness and just like then show up authentically and just show people you care. Right now we just don't know anybody here. We're like who are you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a start.
I love it.
It's a start. Yeah.
Love it.
It's exciting.